بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بداية أود أن أرحب بصديق لجلالة الملك وللأردن ولي شخصيا معالي وزير خارجية الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية جون كيري. أرحب به في عمان في هذه الزيارة الهامة وفي هذا الوقت الهام تحديدا. تشرفنا اليوم بلقاء ثنائي حيث استقبل جلالة الملك المعظم السيد جون كيري ظهر اليوم، والحقيقة بأنه آخر 48 ساعة كانت 48 ساعة تخللها مباحثات هامة واتصالات دبلوماسية هامة أجراها وعقدها جلالة الملك المعظم، بدءا باللقاء مع فخامة الرئيس محمود عباس رئيس دولة فلسطين بالأمس، واليوم استقبال جلالة الملك للسيد جون كيري وزير خارجية الولايات المتحدة، ومساء اليوم لقاء ثلاثي حيث استقبل جلالة الملك رئيس الوزراء الإسرائيلي نتنياهو مع السيد جون كيري في لقاء ثلاثي للحديث في كثير من القضايا الهامة والمحورية. لا شك بأنه موضوع التطورات الأخيرة في القدس وفي الأماكن المقدسة كان لها حيز كبير من المباحثات، حيث تم استعراض هذه التطورات الخطيرة التي شاهدناها في الأسابيع الأخيرة والتصعيد وحالة التوتر التي قد تؤدي إلى المزيد من عدم الاستقرار في الأماكن المقدسة. وضع جلالة الملك أثناء لقائه مع السيد كيري ظهر اليوم بموقف الأردن فيما يتعلق بضرورة الحفاظ على الوضع القائم في الأماكن المقدسة وعدم المساس بهذا الوضع بأي شكل من الأشكال، وهذا يأتي من منطلق الوصاية الهاشمية والرعاية التي يتولاها جلالة الملك المعظم فيما يتعلق بالمقدسات الإسلامية والمسيحية في القدس. وتعلمون تماما بأنه عندما قام الأردن ببعض الإجراءات كان هناك تأكيد من الجانب الإسرائيلي بالتزام الحكومة الإسرائيلية بالحفاظ على هذا الوضع القائم وعدم المساس به واحترام الدور الأردني حسب ما نصت عليه معاهدة السلام، وهذا ما أكد عليه رئيس الوزراء الإسرائيلي في اللقاء الثلاثي اليوم، وستتابعون البيان الصحفي الذي تمخض عنه اللقاء قبل قليل في هذا الشأن. وهناك آليات واتصالات جارية لوضع إجراءات عملية تضمن إزالة حالة التوتر وتضمن الحفاظ على الوضع القائم وعدم المساس به. أيضا كان هناك اليوم في اللقاءات الثنائية مع السيد كيري بحث مستفيض في آخر التطورات في المنطقة عامة. لا شك بأنه وسأعود لموضوع الملف الفلسطيني بعد قليل، ولكن كان هناك حديث حول آخر المستجدات فيما يتعلق بالملف السوري والتزام الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية والمملكة الأردنية الهاشمية بضرورة إيجاد السبل التي تكفل العودة إلى الحل السياسي، لأنه الحل السياسي هو الحل الوحيد الذي سيضمن إنهاء العنف والقتل والدمار وعدم الاستقرار والتفكك الذي تشهده الساحة السورية. هذا هو موقف الأردن ومنسجم تماما مع موقف الولايات المتحدة. وكان هناك أيضا حديث حول مكافحة التطرف والإرهاب والجهد المبذول حاليا، حيث أكد جلالة الملك وأكد في محادثاتي مع السيد كيري بموقف الأردن الواضح بأن هذه هي معركتنا، هي معركة الإسلام المعتدل ضد الإسلام المتطرف والفكر المتطرف والإرهاب أيا كان شكله وأيا كان مصدره وأيا كان هدفه. فلذلك كان هناك حديث في هذا الشأن وأيضا في القضايا الأخرى. فيما يتعلق بملف السلام، تعلمون تماما بأن السيد جون كيري والإدارة الأمريكية برئاسة الرئيس أوباما ملتزمة بإيجاد حل سلمي للقضية الفلسطينية يعالج كافة قضايا الحل النهائي ويضمن عودة الطرفين إلى المفاوضات المباشرة التي تضمن الوصول إلى هذا الهدف. السيد كيري هو رجل سلام، وأثبت هذا من خلال جهده المكثف والمركز خلال أكثر من عام كوزير لخارجية الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، ولكن لعقود خلت كرئيس لجنة الشؤون الخارجية في مجلس الشيوخ الأمريكي، وكرجل له مكانه ووزنه وثقله على الساحة الأمريكية وفي السياسة الأمريكية الخارجية والداخلية أيضا. وشاهدنا وزير خارجية الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية خلال أكثر من عام يقابل المعنيين مباشرة، أي الجانب الفلسطيني والجانب الإسرائيلي، وأيضا الدول التي لها مصلحة عليا في الوصول إلى السلام مثل المملكة الأردنية الهاشمية ومثل جمهورية مصر العربية. قابلهم عشرات المرات. أعتقد بأن عدد اللقاءات التي حصلت والتي أجراها وزير خارجية الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية مع الطرفين الفلسطيني والإسرائيلي غير مسبوقة في التاريخ، غير مسبوقة في التاريخ. هذا يؤكد على التزام الولايات المتحدة والتزام الرجل السيد جون كيري بهذا الملف، وهو الآن يحاول أن يعيد تهيئة الأجواء المناسبة التي تضمن العودة إلى المفاوضات وتضمن وقف الإجراءات أحادية الجانب التي من شأنها أن تقوض فرص السلام، ونحن ندعمه بهذا الجهد، لأنه مرة أخرى مصلحتنا العليا وأمن الوطني يقتضي إيجاد حل القضية الفلسطينية حسب حل الدولتين، مفهوم حل الدولتين ووفقا للشرعية الدولية والمرجعيات الدولية وخاصة مبادرة السلام العربية. فلذلك أريد أن أقول بأن الاجتماع الثلاثي الذي حصل مساء اليوم مع رئيس الوزراء الإسرائيلي عالج القضية المباشرة متابعة للإجراءات الأردنية والموقف الأردني حول القدس والمقدسات الإسلامية والمسيحية، ولكن أيضا تركز بشكل أساسي على الجهود التي يبذلها السيد كيري لإحياء الأجواء مرة أخرى التي توصلنا إلى بدء المفاوضات مرة أخرى. كان هناك جانب مهم من اللقاء الثلاثي أيضا بأن جرى اتصال مع سيادة الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي رئيس جمهورية مصر العربية على الهاتف أثناء اللقاء الثلاثي. ومصر كما تعلمون دولة محورية وأساسية فيما يتعلق في الحديث عن قضايا المنطقة، وخاصة فيما يتعلق بالحديث عن عملية السلام بين الفلسطينيين والإسرائيليين. فلذلك أنهي بأن أقول بأنه جانب من حديثنا، جانب هام من حديثنا اليوم أيضا شمل العلاقات الثنائية المميزة. قدمنا الشكر للولايات المتحدة الأمريكية على الدعم الموصول للمملكة الأردنية الهاشمية، وخاصة فيما يتعلق بمساعدة الأردن على تحمل العبء الكبير فيما يتعلق باللجوء السوري. الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية من خلال مساعداتها الاقتصادية للأردن من أكبر الدول في العالم في هذا الشأن، وشكرناهم على هذا الموقف، وبحثنا كثير من الجوانب المتعلقة بالعلاقات الثنائية المميزة وسبل تنميتها وتطويرها. أرحب بمعالي الوزير وأشكر على التزامه بالسعي نحو السلام، وهو منسجم تماما مع موقف جلالة الملك وموقف المملكة الأردنية الهاشمية في إحلال السلام والأمن والاستقرار في منطقة لطالما عانت من الاضطراب وعدم الاستقرار. مرحبا بكم مرة أخرى.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening to everybody, and I'm particularly grateful to my good friend, Judith, who tonight I learned is the longest serving foreign minister in the history of Jordan. So, and I asked him, I said, are you going to look like that on those portraits that are hanging out there? And he said, that's when he informed me that until recently, one of them was the longest serving. Now I'm standing beside him, so I'm honored to be here with him. And I have to tell you, he is a very valued partner and a very skilled diplomat, and somebody that we rely on for great collaboration and for very significant advice and counsel, and I thank him for his friendship very, very much. I also particularly want to thank His Majesty King Abdullah, who is a gracious host, but also a courageous leader who understands how important this moment is and how critical it is to move forward. And I thank him for his exhaustive personal efforts in trying to resolve some of the region's most difficult challenges, whether it's Syria and Iraq, ISIL, or the long-standing conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Through all of these challenges, one constant has been the enormously constructive role that Jordan has played under difficult circumstances in order to try to resolve those challenges. And we're very grateful and we admire those efforts. I had a very productive meeting this morning with President Abbas. And Foreign Minister Judeh and I, as he just mentioned to you, have come here directly from a trilateral meeting, a discussion with Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel and with His Majesty King Abdullah of Jordan. President Abbas and I this morning discussed constructive steps, real steps, not rhetoric, but real steps that people can take in order to de-escalate the situation and create a climate where we can move forward in a positive and constructive way. President Abbas strongly restated his firm commitment to nonviolence, and he made it clear that he will do everything possible to restore calm and to prevent the incitement of violence and to try to change the climate. We particularly talked about the urgent need to address the greatest tension between imperative, the absolute need to uphold the status quo regarding the administration of the Haram al-Sharif, Temple Mount, and to take affirmative steps to prevent provocations and incitement. In the trilateral meeting this evening, we discussed, as Nasser has explained to you, specific and practical actions that both sides can take to restore calm. The Jordanians and the Israelis have agreed. The Jordanians, obviously, in their historic role as the custodians of the Haram al-Sharif, and the Israelis joined together as they have worked since 1967 to administer the Haram al-Sharif, to make sure that they de-escalate the situation and that the steps they take will instill confidence that the status quo will be upheld. So I say to all people who are interested in this, there are firm commitments, particularly from custodian of the Holy Mosque as well as Israel, to guarantee that they will take these steps. I know the first question will be, so exactly what are those steps? And the answer is, we're not going to lay out each practical step. It is more important that they be done in a quiet and effective way, but they will be noticeable and they will be effective. And I am convinced of that. And I also believe that obviously not all of it can happen overnight. Not every message will reach every person immediately. Not everyone will automatically change in one moment. But the leadership is committed, I am convinced, on the basis of their discussion tonight, and of the seriousness of purpose that they both exhibited. And Prime Minister Netanyahu traveling here to make the effort to have this discussion, King Abdullah being willing to host it, and the length of time we spent discussing it makes it clear to me that they're serious about working in the effort to create this de-escalation, to take steps that will instill confidence that the status quo will be upheld. Prime Minister Netanyahu strongly reaffirmed Israel's commitment to uphold the status quo on the Haram al-Sharif, Temple Mount, and to implement these steps. And King Abdullah also agreed to continue to take affirmative steps to restore calm and implement practical measures to prevent further escalation of tensions. And obviously, the proof is not in the words, the proof is in the actions. In our trilateral discussion, we also discussed the shared commitment by each of us to counter the growing wave of extremism in the region. We placed a call to President al-Sisi to discuss his contribution and support for this critical effort. Why? Frankly, because all of us have been impressed. I was in Egypt a few weeks ago, and President al-Sisi and I had a long discussion about his commitment to the process of challenging extremism and terrorism, and most importantly, his emphasis to me that not only is he committed to counterterrorism, but that he is prepared, in his words, to do whatever I can, quote, in order to advance the cause of peace between Israelis and Palestinians. And that was an important conversation to have in the context of the potential for new regional security assistance and arrangements. We had a very extensive discussion of the ways in which the regional partners could work together on a security arrangement that advances our common interests. And we agreed, all of us, to continue that conversation in the next days. Now, we are all of us fully aware of the challenges presented by the current tensions. Everybody understands that there are deeply held frustrations that are pent up on both sides. Everybody knows the difficult roads traveled and years of disappointment on both sides. And that's why we all engaged in 9 months of negotiations, and it is why all of us would like to see the day when that effort can be re-engaged and can lead to the peace that we all know is the only real sustainable answer to the underlying causes of this conflict. But today we are working to smother the sparks of immediate tension. We are working to smother the sparks of immediate tension so that they don't become a fire that is absolutely out of control. And the first thing we have to do is restore calm before you can talk about other alternatives. The United States stands ready to be engaged, provided the parties themselves begin to create the climate. I was pleased that all of the leaders today, particularly Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Abbas, earlier today, made clear their desire to see this situation de-escalate and to move in the right direction. In our meeting today, Foreign Minister Judeh and I also discussed how do we best coordinate our efforts against ISIL. We are combining our strengths across our more than 60 partners and along 5 different reinforcing lines of effort to shrink the territory controlled by ISIL, dry up its financing, reduce its supply of foreign fighters, expose the hypocrisy of the absurd religious claims, and provide humanitarian assistance to so many millions of people who are injured by this struggle. Degrading and ultimately defeating ISIL is not going to happen overnight. We have to be patient as well as strong, and we have to be strategic, but make no mistake, we will succeed. Particularly in Iraq, where our effort by design has been most concentrated, we are making steady progress. I think you all saw that at Baiji recently. Together with our coalition partners, including Jordan, we have conducted nearly 900 airstrikes against ISIL. Now, some partners are contributing to the military effort by providing arms, some equipment, training, advice. Others are offering humanitarian assistance to those affected by the conflict. And we are particularly grateful to Jordan for opening up its borders and providing safe haven to more than 620,000 Syrian refugees. That's an extraordinary effort by the country. And I know that there are parents, families, people in the country who feel the pressure of this. We all understand that. We are deeply, deeply grateful to Jordanians for their humanitarian gesture in receiving these people. And that is one of the reasons why we are so committed to working to try to bring an end to this conflict. The United States understands and is particularly appreciative of the burden that has been put on schools, on hospitals, on water and energy services, and so much more. And we will continue to stand beside Jordan, I can assure you of that. I conveyed to His Majesty tonight the deep commitment of the American people, the United States Congress, the Obama administration, to the efforts of the Hashemite Kingdom to assume these important responsibilities. Finally, as you all know, I traveled to Muscat earlier this week to continue the Iran nuclear negotiations. Our number one priority on Iran is making sure that they don't get a nuclear weapon. It's that simple, that direct. We're engaged in a difficult but serious negotiation toward that end. The question now is whether Iran will make the choices required to close the final gaps and provide assurances that they can't develop and won't develop a nuclear weapon. Iranian leaders have said repeatedly and unambiguously that they have no intention of building a nuclear weapon. But actions have to be taken to back up those words, and time is running short. The international community's concerns are legitimate, and no agreement can be reached without addressing those concerns. So in the end, it is really a matter of will, not capacity. Again and again, Iran, importantly, and frankly, gratefully, has said they are not going to seek a nuclear weapon. They exclusively have a peaceful nuclear program. So proving that you have a peaceful program is really just a question of choices. And with the November 24th deadline rapidly approaching, choices are going to have to be made very soon. I'll just close by noting this. When you looked at it, came together to jointly announce ambitious new targets to reduce carbon emissions in the post-2020 period. The United States and China are the world's two largest economies. We're also the world's two largest consumers of energy and the two largest emitters of greenhouse gases. We are also two countries regarded for 20 years as the leaders of opposing camps in the climate negotiations. Now, I know that not everybody in the world wakes up in the morning and worries about this issue. I understand that. People have security challenges, immediate nature, and putting food on the table and shelter and being able to protect their families and just survive. But we understand from scientists that this is a collective challenge to survival for all of us in the long run. And by doing what the United States and China did together, we are encouraging other countries to put forward their own ambitious plans, to be able to deal with this issue, to have emission reduction targets soon so that we can conclude a strong global agreement in Paris next year in December of 2015. The commitment of both President Xi and President Obama to take ambitious action in our own countries and to work closely to remove the obstacles on the road to Paris sends a critical signal. It is that we must get this agreement done, that we can get it done, and that we have the ability now to all of us come together, because no one country can make this happen on their own. This is one of those issues that requires global input, and we're proud that together with China, we hope there was a moment of global leadership. Thank you, Nasser.